Okay. Odysseus adrift. He's already lost his crew and his ships. Okay.
A son.
Once again, we have clearly a Viking longship.
And then what?
This is a very unique take on the Trojan horse, with it standing in a triumphant pose instead of a more stable pose. I actually kind of like that. It's more unique, though it probably, if it did actually exist, which not very likely, if it did exist, it probably wouldn't have been standing up this way, because even doing that with modern technology, standing in a pose like that is difficult. With Bronze or Classical Age, they would have had to put more support. As often we see with a lot of classical statues, they're leaning on something to help support them. But it is neat, though the architecture, it is like, if you ask the architecture, this architecture looks like if you ask a modern American architect to quickly make a Bronze Age Mediterranean inspired building. It looks like it's roughly inspired, but it's been very simplified down. All the detail, the color, the vibrancy has been removed. As I said previously, the Odyssey and Iliad take place during the heroic age, an age of demigods walking the earth, men with blood of gods in their veins, those who thought themselves equal to the gods, and through their own hubris brought an end to their glorious age. If this is Troy, it should look like a city where gods might live, not a city somewhere in some town in the US. Okay, we have them breaching the gates after they've been opened. They are armed with round hoplong style shields, so they're pretty flat for hoplong style. We're getting very classical vibes from it, but dark and muddy. It's hard to see much. The walls, though, do somewhat resemble Anatolian walls of the era, though if you mix them with the Art Deco vibe, like if you mix Bronze Age Anatolian walls with Art Deco, that's kind of what they look like, but I wish they were painted. And this gate, I I think I could kick through that gate. Not very strong gate there. It's pretty thin.
We won the war.
Hello, Batman again. Hello, how are you? Why aren't you in Gotham? They are showing dark destruction. Good, because it's supposed to be dark. Okay. Once again, this does somewhat resemble a Mycenaean citadel, so a Bronze Age Greek citadel, though it looks like one in ruins, one worn down, not like one at its height. The columns should be painted, it should be vibrant, the walls should be stuccoed and smooth. It should be rich. Once again, it should look like a place that gods might live. Because once again, this is the heroic age, a time when demigods are supposed to have walked the earth, men who thought themselves equal to gods because of the blood of gods in their veins, who then through their hubris destroyed their civilization.
The household waiting for master.
Um, I use some side character from the late seasons of Game of Thrones because that doesn't resemble anything an ancient Greek would wear in any way. I don't even know what to say. Okay, we got a feast, though they're all sitting at benches like this is some stereotypical medieval feast. The classical Greeks, just like the Romans, they lounged on divans while around the table while they feasted. So they'd be lying on their sides. If they did it that way, it would be very unique. More saying, also, everyone's clothes is so dark. I'm taking that this is supposed to be before the Trojan War. So this is time when they're at their height. They should be dressed vibrantly, like they think themselves equal to gods. They should be dressed vibrantly bright. At least that's what I would do. Make them look like they're like, yes, we are just about equal to gods. Not like not like it's dark and grungy and they're just feasting after some battle in a post-apocalyptic world. Also, none of the clothes really resemble ancient Greek, and we got the stereotypical bracers that aren't really a thing.
I want you to choose.
This outfit, once again, that's not something ancient Greek would wear. The gold bits do make it look a little more prestigious, but no. Okay, are we in Star Wars now? This dress, is it Penelope's dress? Looks like something I would expect in Star Wars. You could argue it somewhat has some classical Greek vibes to it, though the top of it, the bodice, is too tight. The creases are too fine. It should be more flowy. If you're going for more of a classical or archaic or bronze style, it should be more flowy. Ancient Greek dresses and tunics were very simple in their construction. They were rectangles of fabric sewn down the sides with openings for the arms and neck that would then be drawn in and fitted with a belt or cord around the waist. That would give them the big flowy aesthetic. I do like the decorations of some of the columns and on the doors. Those are good, but I wish it was painted once again, looking more like something where gods might try to live. Then, though the standing loom is a very good, that is a type of loom that would have been used at the time, and it would be very prominent. Ancient Greek women were, one of their big roles was weaving. That was what they were looked at for. And the same thing with it when we get to Rome. So that is very appropriate, weaving. And now if we look at the bow that she's holding, that bow is actually, I like that. I actually like that bow. That is fitting. Because a very interesting thing, it is pointed out in the Odyssey that the suitors couldn't even string the bow. And that gives a hint about the bow. Bronze Age Greek bows were very often just simple bows. Simple bows. So like, what do you think of more of a medieval longbow? Just a stick with a string on it. Well, the bow that likely Odysseus had was likely a composite recurve bow like we see here. And those often look like you would string it one way when you actually string it the other way. You don't string it that it keeps the arc there. When you string it, you would actually have to pull the limbs back and arc it the other way. I actually like that. That is good. That bow is good. That's the first thing in this I've liked.
Ithaca's king is coming.
Once again, I like the standing loom. That is very fitting. Because that was one of the primary things that was viewed as a role of ancient Greek women, was weaving. And that should be very prominent, that weaving. And I like that. That is good. Very good.
Back. No, he's not.
Okay, once again with the dirty armor. Actually, we have two things I like. I like this depiction of Polyphemus the Cyclops, because he's depicted as just a giant man with one eye, which does actually very much fit the classical and archaic Greek depictions of Cyclops as just a very large man with one eye. And the eye location could vary. Sometimes it would be in the forehead. Sometimes it would actually be in which one of the eye sockets, and you just have an empty eye socket on the other side. But this very much fits it. That, I like that. That's actually good. I like that. Okay, once again, we got a Mycenaean citadel, though once again, it looks like it's ruined. Like, this is what it would look like now, not what it would look like back at its heyday, where the walls would be smooth, it would be painted, those columns would probably be red, a bright, deep red. This doesn't look like an age of heroes, an age when demigods with the blood of gods flowing to the flames walked the earth thinking they were equal to gods and then brought their golden age to an end to their own hubris. This looks like some post-apocalyptic time, a post-Bronze Age collapse. It's already collapsed. They have not, they just brought about the Bronze Age collapse.
Deal if he came back here and find all these suitors in his house.
Oh, so that this is supposed to be the suitors. Okay, that makes sense. But once again, they're at home. These aren't the guys who got on the war. They should be dressed in rich colors, bright colors. Make them look like they're rich, pompous men who think that they are equal to demigods and gods, not edgy guys in black leather. Though I do like these painted columns. Those look like Mycenaean columns. Those columns, those columns are good. Everything else in the scene I don't like, but I like those columns. Those columns are beautiful. Can we have more of that? More of those columns, please.
We're pining for.
I am not sure what Telemachus is wearing here. It looks more like a medieval tunic if you dyed it black instead of colorful. It looks like a mid-medieval, like Viking Age tunic somewhat. Not exactly, but closer to that than it does look like to an ancient Greek tunic. Once again, ancient Greek tunics were a rectangle of fabric, folded over, sewn, with arms cut out for the arms and neck. Then be brought in with a belt around the belt or cord around the waist.
Pining for a daddy. You didn't even know. Like some sniveling bastard. Who's looking after your wife and son?
Where are they here? Once again, as said in the previous trailer, are they somewhere? Is this supposed to be when they visit Hades? That's my only guess for how dark and dreary it is. Though I wanted to comment on this sword that Odysseus has. By the hilt, it actually looks like a Bronze Age sword, which is kind of an interesting choice. They've been mixing classical, archaic, and Bronze Age influences in kind of a hodgepodge, throw whatever in. I'm not sure what they were going for here. Though if they wanted to go for more Bronze Age with the Mycenaean buildings and the Bronze Age sword, I wish they would have gone with Bronze Age armor with the gleaming bronze. And there's such a variety. Maybe I'll make a video on Bronze Age armor, Bronze Age ancient Greek armor, because it is very interesting. There's so many different varieties.
Do you see?
My dad is coming home.
This is once again a Viking longship. It does not look like either a classical or Bronze Age Greek ship. Though they did add these decorations on the front and back that somewhat resemble some decorations on classical Greek ships, but the whole shape, the swooping of it with the width and its lowness to the wall, that is very much a Viking longship. Bronze Age Greek ships were single level galleys, but they did not have the same aesthetic as longships. They were distinctly different. They were narrower and they were built differently. They were built with mortar and tenon construction, not clinker built like a longship. It gives a very different whole design. It doesn't look good. And there's replicas of Bronze Age and classical Greek ships. There, for one example, there's a classical Greek ship in Athens, port of Panea, the Olympia. They could have used the Olympia. It would have been perfect if they were going for a classical aesthetic. And I'm pretty sure Greece would have gladly given it to them to use.
Bringing vengeance.
Bringing it all.
Okay, is this supposed to be a battle? Once again, we have Hollywood massive men just charging forward. I guess it's supposed to be a battle outside of Troy, but you showed me a picture of this in a blur. I would have thought it was some strange fantasy battle of the Somme. It looks more like the Western Front of World War I than it does like an ancient battlefield in Anatolia. It's all flattened and blackened and ruined. Also, this mad charge. It looks like they're trying to get across to another trench before they get mowed down by machine guns. Not like they're marching towards another formation to clash. Also, that's not how the battles in the Odyssey Iliad are depicted. Battles in the Iliad are not depicted as masses of men charging each other, nor are they depicted like classical Greek phalanxes. They are depicted as lines of men sparring off with ranged weapons like javelins, with heroes going out to duel each other with javelins and spears and swords in the mist between the battle lines. not like this. What do we have? Sorry, what do we have here? This is some, looks like some sci-fi fantasy full plate armor. Now, I'm not saying they can't do it. If they want to do something unique, they can. But I'm not even sure who are these guys supposed to be depicting. They got what looks like a segmented muscular cuirass. It's actually got more definition than Odysseus's one. We got what looks like a fantasy plate armor, and the rest of it, the helm looks like some fantasy barboot. It looks odd. Uh, though, if they want a full like plate-like looking but ancient Greek looking armor, those do in a way exist. The archaic period Greeks had full suits of bronze armor with bell muscular cuirasses, Corinthian helms, bronze armor, and bronze leg armor, and you could use that. Just if you want to see what that looks like, go and look at my archaic Greek hoplite video or my plate armor before the Middle Ages video. I don't know who these guys are supposed to be depicting or what they are wearing. If we look at Odysseus and his men, they appear to be trying to go for a classical Greek vibe. Odysseus is wearing, and the rest of his men are wearing, what look like Chalcidian helmets, so they look like they're made out of plastic and they're painted with a aged bronze paint. It doesn't look like aged bronze. Aged bronze has still got a bronze orangish tone to it. This is all black. And their muscular cuirasses it looks like someone attempted to bend plastic into a muscular cuirass and messed up. They don't look very good. They look thin, they look poorly formed. This looks like someone in a post-apocalyptic time tried to turn some plastic barrel into a Greek armor. It doesn't look like an age of heroes, an age of demigods who thought themselves gods but brought ruin to their golden age through their own hubris. It looks like some post-apocalyptic world. And these guys, these ogres in plate armor, I don't know what to think of them. I don't know what they're supposed to be depicting. There's something. Once again, as I said, if they wanted Greek-looking plate armor, they could have used archaic Greek hoplite armor with not just a bronze bell cuirass and bronze Corinthian helm, but also bronze armor and bronze leg armor. Just look at my video on the archaic Greek hoplite or on plate armor before the Middle Ages.
I need everyone at this party dead. I can still
Oh look, that's our Viking longship. It has returned.
save them.
You're a man who needs to control his fate.
Actually, wait. That was... Get me that little figurine. Get me a figurine. That figurine looks somewhat like it is a archaic period, early classical period Greek statue. I actually like that. That is good. Can we have more like this? More like this little figurine that looks somewhat like a archaic or classical period Greek statue. I like it. The fixed pose, but somewhat realistic proportions and look, the flowing rope. That looks good. I'm not sure why everything else looks post-apocalyptic.
Control his fate.
Okay, same look as always.
But you cannot control this.
That world is...
Oh! Is that his hunting dog that he comes back and it's old and dying? I guess it is. That was a good dog.
That world is gone.
Oh, poor dog. Poor doggo. Where are they running from?
No one could stand between me
Hello, Longship. How are you doing? Do you want to go a Viking?
and home.
Wait, Wait. I actually have something to comment here. As they're running, as we see, they all have pants on. These aren't ancient Greeks. No ancient Greek would be caught dead wearing pants. These are barbarians. Barbarians. Ancient Greeks would not wear pants. They viewed it as barbaric. Only barbarians wear pants. These are clearly barbarians. They're not ancient Greeks.
Not even the gods.
Oh, once again, these look like late medieval oars, not like classical or Bronze Age Greek oars. Classical or Bronze Age Greek oars would be single-manned oars, not double-manned. Double-manned is more of a late medieval Renaissance, early modern period thing when they started using slaves to row galleys. So they have one trained free oarsman with multiple slaves pulling a single oar because they weren't as efficient as multiple trained oarsmen pulling individual oars. Not like the classical Bronze Age Greek ships, which would have been rowed by citizen or subjects who were trained at rowing. They were more skilled and determined. Okay, I have comments about this statue. The statue right here, this statue. In some parts I like it, and some not. It somewhat resembles a archaic period, early classical period Greek statue with somewhat realistic proportions and features, but in a very fixed pose. But it's so simple, it also looks more Art Deco. Like if you mixed, well, archaic Greek statuary with Art Deco, which you could pull off. So that arm looks a little stunt-ended and short, but it does somewhat actually resemble a archaic statue. I actually say I somewhat like it. That I somewhat like. That could work, though. Once again, with ancient Greek statues all the way back to the Bronze Age and through the Classical period, they would be painted. If this was painted with lifelike detail, it would be great. This statue here, if it was painted with lifelike detail, would be wonderful.
I think it's asleep.
Now, just to finish off, I'm not saying that Christopher Nolan can't take his own look if he wants. He can't do his own thing. He could do what he wants with this movie. I'm just saying, if I was making a movie of the Odyssey or Iliad, I would make sure it looked like at the start that this was the age of heroes, an age of demigods walking the earth, who thought themselves equal to gods and through their own hubris brought the destruction. They would at the start look like they thought themselves gods. They'd be dressed in bright, vibrant colors, rich gold, metal, and rich metals. They would look glorious. Their buildings would be painted, their statues painted, everything would look glorious. And then by the end, they would look worn down, beaten. The same things but broken, beaten, battled. They've now destroyed their golden age. Not post-apocalyptic like he seems to have chosen here.